too much water. Do you guys remember that? The IGN review for Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby. It came out in like what? I think the review came out in 2014. Gave him like a 7.8. And one of the jokes people popped off from that was the little TLDR that said, the pros and cons. One of the cons was too much water. I recently went and read that review for the first time because I don't play Pokemon games. But I read that review and they were actually referencing the fact that there's lots of water, which made it tedious to like traverse, but also there was an imbalance of water type Pokemon. So like the game was making you having to like really fight a lot of water types to the point where it was too much water. Now, with just the TLDR, it seems like a stupid complaint. Too much water, what the fuck does that mean? But given the context, it makes way more sense, right? They're assuming that you've read the review, so you get what they mean when they say too much water. But that's my issue. Reviews have now become too condensed into the TLDR section that people only read the TLDR. It's the same thing that happened with the Screen Rant Black Myth Wukong review, where people are saying they docked the game because of lack of diversity inclusion. It's like, no, that was a portion of it, but the real reason why they docked the game was because of its horrendous performance issues, which other reviewers have also mentioned. But that gets lost in the sauce because the TLDR. I do not like TLDR. I don't like TLDR at fucking all because it removes the context from everything and it incentivizes people to just look at like 2 lines versus the like 30 lines you wrote previously. When it comes to reviews, those are one of the few things where there shouldn't be a compromise, okay? Like, let me be more specific. Yes, I'm not going to read a 50-page review on a game, but at the same time, there's no game that could be accurately assessed in like a line or two. That's just broad strokes. And if we're going off broad strokes, then we're going to always get these knee-jerk reactions to reviews that don't need to exist. Going back to the Black Myth Wukong one, the writer, which I will not name because people are already harassing them, goes to pretty great lengths to talk about the fact that, while yes, there is not that much inclusion in terms of women or female presenting figures, there's also other issues in the game, but there's also positives to the game, like the combat and the story, right? The narratives here was really good. They gave the game a really good review. They said it was a very good game. But all of that is erased the second people can latch onto some meme-worthy TLDR. I want you to think of your favorite game. Close your eyes. Imagination time. I want you to think of your favorite game. Could you express it, all the complexities, the way it makes you feel, what makes the game good? Could you express all of that in 2 sentences? Probably not, right? Wouldn't be accurate. I was playing Animoel earlier this year. Did a whole review on it. You guys should definitely watch it. Please someone watch it. I mean, I thought I did a good job with it, but I guess not. Now, if I were just to say that Animoel has lots of like puzzles that borderline on the esoteric and makes it kind of difficult to know what's going on, and I just left it at that, but then I said 9 out of 10, that'd be confusing as fuck because it sounds like I left a complaint that the puzzles are too esoteric. There's no direction, there's no nothing. You have to figure shit out and you don't even know what to even figure out, right? But why would I score so high? But now if I were to give you a full review and talk about like the esoteric nature of Animoel is what makes it stand out. Because you're always constantly discovering things, you never feel like you're really going in the wrong direction. The next screen could hold the secrets to something that you weren't even aware about until like multiple hours later in the game. That sense of exploration is really strong, that sense of adventuring, and it pushes you constantly to be constantly looking out for things, trying to figure things out on your own. Like, if you like that kind of stuff, that'd be enticing. But you don't get that from the TLDR esoteric puzzles, a lot of them there, 9 out of 10. That doesn't fucking compute. I also want to talk about briefly of just scoring games in general, because once again, I do think the scores are also a problem in the same sense of the TLDR. What is an 8 out of 10? Like in school, numerically, sure, it's 80%. that's good. But in terms of a game, that's hard to contextualize because it's just a numerical value. I could say it's a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 is the same percentage as 8 out of 10, but 4 out of 5 was closer to 5. So is a 4 out of 5 game better than the 8 out of 10 game? Because it's only 1 point off being perfect. But then you have to ask, what is perfect? What is good? What's great? What's bad? What's okay? What's just whatever? All of those things are subjective. There's no objective scoring. That's why reviews have multiple reviewers across the board, right? A lot of the problems I see people try to attribute like a review score, not to the reviewer, but to the publisher that made the review. So like IGN giving this game a 10 out of 10, with an IGN Australia giving it a 7 out of 10. It's like, whoa, IGN's inconsistent. It's like, no, the reviewer has a different perspective on this than the other reviewer does. But I also feel like numerical values get in the way. We should be able to just read the review and then by reading it, understand, okay, this is what we're going in for. I have a theory as to why people might be still doing review scores, and that's just like, it's something quick and easy to digest, whether it's the correct information coming across, not to number the point. It's like, hey, I have to feed an algorithm or SEO. I get that. But as a consumer, a numerical score is worthless to me. Because if you're telling me, hey, this game, it's really buggy, the combat's real floaty, the puzzles are hit and miss, and graphically it looks like 3 generations behind. But then you give it like an 8 out of 10. It's like, wait, 8 out of 10 would make me think this is a good game. But from the review, it seems like it's not that good of a game and actually maybe is a terrible game. But now you're telling me this is 8 out of 10. So then now I have to go back to the same question is, what is an 8 out of 10? What's a 9 out of 10? What's a 10 out of 10? I think by getting rid of review scores and just having people read the review and come to their own conclusion whether this is something they want or not is the best outcome. Because then you can't, say they're only giving them 10 out of 10s because they paid them to review the game, or they're only giving it a 5 out of 10 because they didn't pay them, or because it's from the Eastern world and we all hate Eastern games, or it's a Western game, therefore it has to do good. Like, all of those little biases kind of fall off the wayside because no one's going to assign the American value to it. They're simply telling you their experience with it and how they have interpreted the game and what they think it's about, and would you like it or not is up to you. That's my whole story with that. It's weird, right? How we've gotten to this point where reviews equally, according to lots of people online, equally matter but don't matter. Like, review scores matter, but the actual review doesn't, because everyone goes off Metacritic, and now like those scores are tied to bonuses and their incentives and what have you. But the actual review seemingly doesn't matter because people aren't reading it at all. Like, I feel like that's having the opposite effect. Giving a game a bunch of like 9 out of 10s, 8 out of 10s, which from a purely numerical standpoint makes them good to great, has lost its punch, because now people think 8 out of 10 is the same as a 6 out of 10, which is crazy. One's like a passing grade in the American school system and one's a failing grade, but to them they're equal. We should get rid of that. De-incentivize numerical values. Don't have Metacritics be tied to bonuses. That's weird to me. To be standard, just go by sales, right? At the end of the day, if you're a game company and you're here to make money, do you really care if you won a bunch of awards? Like, we've seen what happens with games win awards and they still don't, keep the studio afloat, versus games that get no awards but make like a bajillion fucking dollars. Hi-Fi Rush. Luckily it got purchased by Krafton, but Hi-Fi Rush was a media darling, critically acclaimed, well received, won awards. Shut down the studio. So like, I think it's weird that we are so focused on the numerical value of things, but the wrong numerical value too. I personally hate sales argument also, but if we're looking at it from strictly just is this game successful or not, then you have to kind of look at sales in comparison to how much money we spend in the game, whatever. But it's super fucking weird to me that instead of going by that metric, we're going by Metacritic scores, we're tying that to people's salaries and bonuses. That's stupid. And as far as the review goes, again, you should just read the review and not have it condensed to a 1 or 2 sentence line talking about not enough inclusion diversity. Because again, people aren't going to read that. They're just going to see that one point and not watch your review. And then it's like you wasted your time. People aren't going to engage what you're writing with. They're just going to look like, scroll down to the bottom of the page or top of the page. Cool. There's a number value. Here's some bullet points. Got it. Like that. I just think personally that's a waste of time. But you guys let me know what you think. Am I wrong in thinking this? Like, am I the weird one? Or have we gotten so far away from what the purpose of review is that like essentially reviews are worthless?